reasonable, even at 1%, which, as Steve Hawks, the #1 realtor in Nevada, points out on many presentations that we do with him, that it would be catastrophic to the real estate market. Okay, let's say you do that, but in return you bring in a program. Let's say that he is pro real estate and he brings in a program that rolls in college debt, that goes after ghost buyers, or does a no down, low down, or a 1% FHA loan. Some radical stimulation to get people to buy and get involved with money. Let's say that all occurs. We still go back to what my problem still is within the market, and I know that you went to the presentation, which is the frightfully low inventory situation that I'm sure that Lawrence Yun, chief economist of NAR, pointed out during his presentation that you saw at NAR.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I mean, that's the one big takeaway that I took from NAR is that we're going to be talking about low inventory for many, many, many years. That's really the bottom. That is not a short-term problem. It's a very long-term problem, and it has nothing to do with interest rates, and it has nothing to do with political parties, and it has nothing to do with Dodd-Frank. You know, it has nothing to do with government oversight. It has only to do that new households are forming faster than new housing starts. And so in California alone, we have 165,000 we have a demand for 165,000 new houses, and builders are only doing 100,000. Nationwide, we're lagging, so we're short 65,000 new home starts in California alone, and nationwide, the cumulative is about 1 million. So households are forming at a rate that's 1 million. 1 million families are starting. 1 million households are forming more than new housing starts are being constructed. So low inventory is going to continue to be a big issue, and that is compounded by the fact that 5 years ago people were staying in their houses for 5, 6, 7 years. We used to do, you know, we used to market the houses expecting that people were going to turn over every 7 years and move up. We're not seeing move-up buyers like that, and more importantly, the average stay in a house is already 9, 10 years, and they're saying by 2020, just 3, 4 years from now, it's going to be 14 years. So people are staying in. So not only are we not getting new housing starts, but people are choosing to update their houses and stay in them much longer. And the baby boomers, you know, these people who are now, that are reaching retirement and starting to retire, they're not moving down, they're not moving up, they're updating, and they're like, bury me in the backyard when I'm dead.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out how to deal with low inventory more than anything else, and all the other stuff is just noise, really, in the end. And so being a listing agent has never been more important, and it will never be more important. And it's going to be a seller's market for a very long time, at least in the under median home prices. And that's the other. Tell me if I'm going on too long.
No,
here,
you're fine. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. My only thing is that still nobody's talking about and I know that Lawrence talks about it a little bit, the fact that the rental market, or that the non-owner occupied market, is the primary holder of real estate. And if you look at bank-owned properties, and that's a simple search for anybody to do with any of the programs, Realty Track, Property Radar, just do bank-owned properties. That's 500,000 properties that I know is now part of Lawrence's or the real estate market's adjusted inventory. And a lot of our issues would be solid. I'm going to give everybody a reason to hate a bank. If the banks would still use traditional real estate agents to sell back to traditional buyers of real estate in the current market, I don't think we'd have the inventory issue. Instead, they're bundling it up and they're selling it to Wall Street firms, because that's the new way to sell in bulk bad portfolios, or at least what they perceive as a bad debt, instead of the traditional way that we saw up until, I don't know, 2010, where you would sell them almost one off, and the banks found that, just too laborious and cost too much money. It was much easier to sell these big bulk packages when they revert to bank-owned status to Wall Street companies that want solid investments, and those become rentals. And that rental market is a huge part of this problem too. The rental market is ridiculous at this point. Like,
Well, all right. So this is what we're talking about. Okay. So all this stuff is just noise. So I heard, and when I was at the California Association of Realtors. By the way, this is why I go to these conferences. Listen, most of it is just kind of a brain drain, and there's not that much to learn, and it's a lot of rhetoric, if you will, and self promotion going on. But every once in a while, 2 or 3 times, you hear something that's really a gem. So here's what I took away from CAR. So going back another 2-3 weeks ago. So from the California Association of Realtors, they said by 2025, 50% of single-family homes are going to be owned by non-owner,
yeah.
are going to be non-owner occupied. So they're going to be, in other words, rentals. And so what I did last week was I formed a property management company. I incorporated a property management company. By the end of the year, we are going to go into the property management business. Not because we want to manage properties. That doesn't even appeal to me that much. Collecting rent and doing service calls and that kind of thing. It's the advocate concept again. Is that the reason that I want to do it is that yeah, we can spin off some income and some steady income and build a portfolio, of income from that. But more importantly, we want to be the one standing there with the seller's keys when they want to sell it. So we would be the natural choice to be their listing agent when they go to do that. And we would be the natural choice to be their buyer's agents when they want to add to their portfolio. So so we're getting into the property management business, in part based on the stats, but it's an acknowledgement that we need to be in that space if we want to cultivate relationships with 50% of the market.
Well, now I even see an opportunity for all of you listening to get involved in this. Why wouldn't you monster multi-unit properties, then work with your investor, and then work with David to turn those into rental properties and back through David so that it all stays in control here? Why aren't we segue? Like, I feel like there's a segue here where everybody should be going after multi-unit properties with monster tags. Call me crazy.
Yeah, so we've got to figure out how to, some of that stuff we need to do, but this is where the market is going. So
yeah.
We know that, forget Trump for a second, forget the regulation, forget interest rates. It is really clear for if you're paying attention, is that the market is moving. We're going to be in a low inventory market. We know that the market is going to be bifurcated. I thought it was a Southern California problem.
No,
it's clear to me,
national.
clear to me
I
now
knew
that it's a national problem.
Yeah.
Everything over median home prices are sitting on the market for 2 or 3 times as long as properties under the median home price in every market. So in my median home price is $650 or so. In my market here, that's the median, and I can categorically tell you that stuff priced over $650 sits on the market for 2 or 3 months. And you got to lower the price in order to stimulate offers, and then properties that are coming in under are generally selling with multiple offers and 10 to 15 days. And I heard over and over again that was happening everywhere in the country.
Yeah.
And so from my perspective, I don't want to focus on, I don't want to be the $1 million listing agent. I want to work in the bed. I want to work in the bread and butter. I'm focusing my efforts on $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 properties because I want to turn these properties faster, and I want more listings because listings generate buyers, and buyers, generate income, and income generates more advertising, and so it's just a vicious circle. I want to be busy. I don't want ego listings. I want closable listings that I can invest the least amount of time, money, and effort in order to get paid.
Okay, let's make. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just finish this talk real quick because you got the buy. So we've got low inventory. We got the bifurcated market, and we have 50%, at least in California, and a trend towards half the market being rental units, non-owner occupied units. That's where the market's going, and the question is, how are you going to adapt your business in order to facilitate those very clear trends?
I agree. And that's, let me make a casual segue into motivation for all of you. The only thing that doesn't go out of style, okay, the one thing I can agree on legitimately for the next 10 years of real estate, maybe even further than that, as long as people have to make some form of a payment towards the ownership or the rental of a home, there will be those who do not make those payments, and therefore that is an opportunity. And I cannot stress it enough that by and large, real estate people do not like to work in the default servicing inventory. And I think it's a huge opportunity, especially where the market's at right now, to really hunker down and corner every default, every late, every notice of sale, every auction date, every list pen, whatever it is in your market, to hunker down and position that way. Is that from a coaching standpoint here within the group and nationally, because this is clearly going to be a podcast because it's a great show and it'll get 1 million downloads. Logically, instead of sticking your head in the sand, David, it's to go in the direction of working a specific niche.
Well, I think that's always been been the case. I mean, we work a couple of different niches, but primarily, but I have teams that are focused on the individual niches. So the reality is that we can't be all things to all people, but we can accommodate most of the people most of the time. And so the idea of taking a look at this data, and we don't have to overcomplicate it, and I'm really trying to keep it simple here, is if we know where most of the activity is going to be at median home prices or below. I mean, if I were to pick a niche, that's in terms of housing size, that's where I would want to focus my effort. And then the question is, how are you going to do it? You've got foreclosures, you've got expireds, you've got for sale by owners. Where do you find those buyers? And none of those have to be full-time jobs. So it's easy to have a foreclosure program. We still do foreclosures, but it takes 3-4 hours a week to do all the foreclosure work in our market now. But we're still getting foreclosure listings, and we love them, love them. Okay. And then you've got expireds, which I haven't figured out how to do, but I think that I've got a plan that we're going to roll out here soon. And then you've got for sale by owners. And then, I mean, if you want to get fancier, on the for sale by owners, we're offering some free flyers and free consultations, and we're just building a relationship with them. And so, because we know 70% of them are going to list within 30 days. We know that the very high, I don't know the exact percentage, that a very high percentage of foreclosures are going to list their house for sale. That's why we love Monster and do Monster every single week. And then you got big data and lots of other things, but that starts to get expensive and pricey. And you'll notice that things like FSBO and Monster are things that I can do that are really inexpensive that get me really great and consistent results. That's why I focus our time and effort there. And notice I didn't say money because it doesn't cost that much money to do it. It's more about the time invested. And we all have plenty of time, especially this time of year.
And David, how can everybody reach you?
Well, David at homeloanadvocates.com. That's homeloanadvocates is plural.com. Or you can call the office at 805-413-8000, 805-413-8000.
And again, mark your calendars. March 25th, 2017 will be the summit weekend. More details to follow, but everybody mark your calendars on that.
Thank you for listening to the Honish Report. Please visit us online at HonishReport.com. That's www.HonishReport.com. There you can find up-to-date information about the market and marketing to help you get your next listing or deal. You can also send your questions directly to Lee at lee.honish@yahoo.com. That's lee.hon.